Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go. So Bitcoin still holding this 52K range, just above this range here from December 28th, 2021, where we dropped it down. Do we flip this into support and try to go higher? Next node of volume up above is 54,618. It's pretty threadbare in this range. They could develop some orders here to thicken it up from that 2021 drop area. We never made it up here since 2021, so this is quite interesting. We have a high volume node over here at 50K. If we start to drop down from this range, we could see some reaction off the 50K 948 range. And this is the diagonal pitch fan we've had price in for over a year, and it respected this 886 level multiple times, and this time it broke out above it. So we're in some novel territory outside of this pitch fan, so that puts it into a little bit of context as we go into the liquidity. What is the liquidity? Well, people lock their liquidity into the charts to get burnt to a crisp by the market maker for not using his stop loss, and we get to see where those crispy characters are, so let's do it now. In the last 24 hours, we had 13 million in short squeezed and 8 million in long squeezed as it goes back and forth within the 52K range.
Fatality.
Meanwhile, on the alts, you had some ETH longs liquidated, 13 million in ETH longs in the last 12 hours. BTC had a $2 million short in the last 4 hours, and in the last hour, a $2 million short. So let's go into the heat map for where it is right now. We're going to take a look at this. So you have some liquidity up into that 52.7 range in terms of high leveraged shorts here in orange. You have some also thick down in that 51K region. If we go to a higher time frame, the larger picture, that 50,800 high volume node area has a large amount. Currently you have more to the downside than to the upside, but we'll see how they allow the longs to stay open or not. They have no rush to go get the longs necessarily, because the longs can already pay themselves currently, but by keeping their trades open, the funding rate automatically pays for itself. So the longs having a field day, they basically have to pay more to keep that trade open. So they're just using that to their advantage to get paid off the funding rate. So let's go into a bigger picture here and take a look at the heat map. The heat map is the leverage on both sides. You see 188 million up at 52.9, percolating with the shorts as the open interest drops, but the large amount of longs here, higher leverage longs down here, 210 at 51.2 and 50,800. So more likely than not, in the over the weekend, we'll retrace down and sweep all of these longs off of the table. Also expressing this on the weekly time frame, you see 455 to 460 down there to the 430 up here. Not to say that there isn't a lot up here, but there is slightly more to the downside here at 51,166. So let's go into the charts, take a look at everything as it stands. First, we'll hold ourselves to the flame of what we were saying about looking for a opportunity on that 786 retrace zone. So it was first obeying what we were saying, and we were talking about possibly reclaiming the cloud and coming back up. It came back to that 786 region, reacted off it quite nicely. So if you did pull the trigger on a short, you'd still be in profit on that idea. We're going to clean this up a little bit and see where things have changed in our, well, we'll leave that there for when we get to the momentum. So actually we could do that now. Let's go ahead and just throw it on. Why not? So we were looking at the curvature of this cloud on the hourly. We didn't know the future, so we didn't know it would stay purple like this. So basically we can adjust this over here and say it's just an extended version of what we were seeing, because the purple is still coming off. What is the purple cloud? Well, if we go to the link in the description for more, momentummaster.info, you can scroll down to features and read about it and see what it looks like at Bitcoin's bottom. This was 15K in this schematic. So the cloud turns purple, similar to here. Actually, and basically when it starts to thin and you break beneath it, you go down. So thin clouds represent weakness, and so this weak point started to signify if we came back below the cloud, perhaps we're coming lower. Also, we were looking at a lower time frame on the 15-minute. That's what this circle was. We're talking about this cloud shift and this kiss to the cloud. You broke the cloud, came back above it. So this 15-minute did not get respected for a long. So you would not have wanted to take a long on that idea. All right, so we're going to go through the time frames, make our descent through them. The 3-day closes today. One cool thing to note on the daily is you have a key sequential event keystone coming on the daily time frame. The last time we had that on down here, we saw some upside. When we had some up here, we had some downside. So these are kind of leading ideas about going up too far too fast. The volume node up here at, let's see, 51,771. Okay, so we got a high volume area up here. And yeah, let's make our descent through the time frame. So the daily time frame, the Williams is pretty gassed here. You got the money flow above the RSI, and it could start to come down a little bit. We are in that extremely overbought region. Does it start to drift in an ascending channel manner? I've seen stuff like this before where it just holds and keeps just buying back in algorithmic fashion to reach a target and then just drops like a rock. We can go back in time to see where that was the case. This is a daily time frame, so it's fairly easy to do that. Here's another example where it just does an ascending channel upwards, and this one didn't even stop. It just kept going for days on days on days. So this one, you had this in the overbought region and it just kept going. So there's no guarantee that this will pull back at all if we're in a bull drive to the upside. Is this what is intended before the halving, or are we going to retrace at all and have a buyback period before the halving? That is the question. So looking at some levels here, we're starting to fail on the daily thin boy baseline. What are the baselines? Well, you can read about that again. They're your first sign of reversal. So seeing this come back before it happens, it always happens in this manner. So if you see that on reversal zones, we start to fail the thin boy and then the thick boy with the fury. So are we going to see that thick boy failed or not on the daily time frame? One thing to note is the 3-day candle close in 23 hours, basically tomorrow, close of Saturday. We'll close the 3-day. 3-day did cross back up again, so we have that to contend with. And the weekly candle close in 2 days. You had a cross up event after a previous week cross down to that 38.8 region. So are we still keen for upside is the question. 22-hour time frame starting to fade off of the thin and the thick boy and starting to make a potential descent. If you look at this cross event of the Williams, does it start to play out in a similar fashion to here? Okay, so this was a pullback from December 10th and we dropped about 9%. These are back-tested levels for these alarms, so that they're meant to be alarming. So when this happened here, boom, we dropped another 4% to reset that and came even deeper. So when you get to that gassed level here, it is something to take heed. And also coming to the 12-hour time frame, the 12-hour time frame stochastic coming down, the money flow below the RSI. The RSI in some cases does, when it drops dramatically, it drops to the money flow. Most often the money flows up to that. Does that happen in this case after this rise up? I'm not sure, but having this happen down here when we were coming down beneath and the Williams was low, that's more keen when you get everything in alignment. So when you have the Williams low and the money flow low, that's where we were talking about longing down here at 38.8. And so up here is kind of the opposite of that. It's possible that the RSI maybe comes down because the Williams is about to flash an alarm crash. So the alarming event, if it occurs on the 12-hour, you have the cross down already in play. So does this start to come lower? Looking at the 6-hour also crossing down, fading off of the baselines. Money flowing up to above the RSI while going sideways, expressing slight fatigue. You have the Williams in a overbought status, each alarm getting negated every time. Does one of these start to play out soon? We're getting some bearish divergence coming into this top here. Do we start to see it play out? Coming into the 4-hour time frame has reset here above this volume node, so it's possible we get this money flow beneath the RSI burst up to some of these shorts up here at that $280 million mark at 52.8, stopping out all of the people that took this 786 play, potentially speaking, if this stochastically plays out. The Williams is in a gas state, but that doesn't matter when you're on a tear to the upside. People disregard that and look to the lower time frame. So here on the lower time frame, you're seeing the hourly reset here, holding the super trend. The super trend here on the hourly still holding. We never broke through with conviction here or here, and we reclaimed this volume node. So we're now above the hourly cloud, so do we make a little bit of a push? Asia not known for pushing it so hard, so maybe it just comes up to a certain level here and then starts to fade back down. Looking at the hourly, coming a little bit lower, 15-minute. We're gonna do a thorough analysis tomorrow, but today I have to take my kids to a friend's house to keep them entertained, so I will keep this short but sweet. All right, so looking at the 15-minute, you have overbought here and possibly getting gassed on this level. We're still holding the super trend idea intact. Ambiguous at best on the 15. It is low liquidity weekend. So now we're gonna turn into a toss, say what's up to everyone here. No one, not a single soul, but it's all good. We're gonna go to the ATOS platform here. We can see inside the candles themselves and see where all of the Bitcoin are being traded. So if we go back here and take a look, we can see every peak and valley, trough, and volume imbalance within. So we can see some huge sell-off to come in to rise up. This is not a time-based, this is a trade-based chart, so you get a little bit more fidelity to what's happening in the moment. The link is also in the description for ATOS. Quite a nice platform for volume analysis if you're looking to look at the inside skinny of what's inside the contracts. Okay, so we're basically at the previous day's VWAP level, and yeah, no opportunities to watch within this zone just yet. The thing with Bitcoin is that it's pretty threadbare in terms of you can see inside the candle and a large amount within don't have any trades happening. I guess that's because there's multiple exchanges and levels that people are interested in. But if you look inside here, for example, there was 15 Bitcoin sold aggressively at 52,180, and then it just drops down, and then you see 10 more aggressively sold down at 52,160. So there's like a $20 spread of nothing, and that's kind of interesting because in NASDAQ it's all filled with contracts. But if I change this to a 30-minute chart, you can see inside of a 30-minute chart a little bit more happening. So if we turn this here up at the top, you had 86 Bitcoin bought at 52,200 as we went up here. That was most likely some shorts that got popped, because who would be buying that top like that unless they were forced to buy? Hey, what's up, buddy? Yeah, I'm fine. How about you? Are you good? We're about to finish and then we can go. All right, so yeah, looking over here, we have this maintained and getting some sells. These are some sell ratios here happening, so there's aggressive delta coming in aggressive buys, but getting negated. Very weak buys, more selling than buying here in this upwards path that we're in. So if you were scalping in the moment, you could snipe a top pretty quickly with this tool. You could try it for 14 days if you're interested. If you hop into the Momentum Master Discord, I'm happy to set you up with some templates. So just give it holla about that. So looking at this now. So do we hold this point of control at 51,771 for this little miniature range here we have going, or do we drop down to the 49K region here? There's not really much in between, so if you just roll down the mountain to the other side, coming down to 49K would be your next stop if you break down here at the cloud. We saw the plan from yesterday talking about coming up to the 786. If you took it, congratulations, and you have to have an exit strategy as well. Like, where do you put your stop at the top of this high? You know, do you put it in front to cover your fees? Up to you. It is your idea. All right. So any questions? Anyone here with any questions? Not a soul on, so I will bid you adieu earlier. Let's go take a look at Dixie, see how it's holding up. So we were looking at the 12-hour cross down event for Dixie, and then it started to come down after coming up into this gap. So does this, let's just put it up here. Actually, we could just delete it now, technically. So it came up into the gap and started to recover this, and now we're coming back down again. If we go to the levels here that you could possibly sweep, you have a range high level here at 103.821. If we come down and continue this sell-off wick, expressing that it wants to come lower perhaps and test some of these high volume nodes, these points of control, if you will. You don't really have volume analysis on Dixie, so you have to use time as a measure for this. Okay, so you can see that there's some point of control here and a point of control there. Value area highs here, lining up nicely. So that's why I put this at 103.353. Do we come back to these levels from January for some support? Okay. We are oversold on the Dixie. The fact that we came up here and swept the buy side and came lower, does this mean we're coming to these equal lows here, sweeping these and testing support? Further pullback for the Dixie. The further pullback for the Dixie means that even though we're getting a sweep on NQ here, we swept the 786 slightly higher to the 786, came up to a point of control here. What do I mean by point of control? Well, the purple area here was a point of control. We came up to that and then rejected off that for a sell-off, coming down to the point of control possibly here at this level. Where is that? 17,687, and this 236 for the bullish narrative at 675. We could sweep all of this off the table before going higher. ES also, ES didn't make as low of a low, so there is kind of some bullish divergence happening here between the SMT, between the NASDAQ and the ES. All right, so let's go back to total real quick. Total. Total's getting a cross down event of the 12-hour. Something to note here, do we see a little bit of a pullback on total? That would make sense with the idea we were seeing for BTC. If it pulls back on the 12-hour, the last time we saw cross up, it did go to the upside. The cross down got faked out here, and there was a cross down that played out slightly here. Cross up, cross down, cross up, cross down. So the cross ups and the cross downs on the 12-hour, cross down, cross up, cross fake out. So there's a few jukes. There's 2 jukes out of like 10. So that's pretty good, 80% rate on these to play out. And that's why we use the baselines for what they're worth. An 80% accuracy rate is not bad. So you got those fake outs here, but for the most part, cross down, cross up, cross down, cross up, fake out, cross up, and flashing possibly cross down. Okay. Total 3 also has that same idea, and USDT dominance. USDT dominance had the opposite. We had a cross up event on the 12-hour. That cross up on the USDT dominance suggestive of people getting kicked into USDT. So do we get a pullback? We said this 5% level was a level, last line of defense here for this region over here from 2022. Without that holding, we come down to the 4.7 and people insert more money in. So this means a lot of people put their USDT into trades by it going down. Remember, it's inverse to BTC, so it'll look like BTC upside down. And the BTC dominance got that cross down event on the 12-hour, and we've been going sideways while the alts kind of play ball with what they're given. The alts are ultimately still have taken a hit in credibility since Luna and the FTX in general. That whole year of crypto just jaded a lot of people, including yours truly. I just don't believe in a lot of the projects, and it takes a lot to get me to even look at their website seriously. So there's a few that I do think are legitimate projects. Like if we go to Crypto Bubbles, I'll tell you ones that are decent. Sand is kind of garbage because they just use the Roblox engine to make an app and say, look, we made a game. But any kid can make a game in Roblox. And Immutable, where's Immutable? Immutable should be on the list. Maybe I need to go back for the week. Immutable is a very good one. I've used it personally on my Gods Unchained web page. If you don't know about Gods Unchained, you can log in with your wallet and you trade cards. It's a kind of Magic the Gathering type game made by one of the people, and it's available on both platforms and the App Store. So they have serious games on there, and you can trade cards with your, there you go, see, I'm level 72. I played it quite a lot. But yeah, this was a fun game. And that was real, and that was on the Immutable thing. I remember when Immutable was like $7, and now it's $3. So it's making its way back up. So there are some real projects inside of this, but finding the diamonds in the rough is up to you. So there is this Bitcoin dominance potentially pulling back to the super trend or the cloud. Why do we put it down at this level? Because there was a gap here. Yeah, there is a gap on this time frame here. So coming back to recover that gap perhaps, if the dominance drops. If the dominance drops and the USDT rises, it means possibly a pullback is in store. All right, so that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Is do we see a bit of a pullback for BTC down to the 50K region? If you break that point of control, then the next point of control stop is down here at 49K. So you could react down here, get a little bit of sideways action, and then possibly come higher to go down to this. Okay. something like that. But that's, you know, coming into the week. So a long ways away, so we'll just take it one step at a time. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, folks. So thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day, and we'll do the same, bringing the fire, the accuracy, the precision, all that fun stuff, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.